Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy, Eric Anders, and you're listening to the Kickin' It With Ya Boi Podcast.
Had to step my game up. When you bring my name up, they gon' say I came up. They gon' say I changed up. Step my game up. When you bring my name up.
What's up, guys? It's your boy, Eric Anders, and today, episode number 8, we're Kicking It With Your Boy. We got the all-powerful James Krause, probably one of the most underrated and rising coaches, I think, in the game. We were just talking offline about how you've had several fighters, move to, out of state, from other camps to, and then, they have all right careers, maybe go 500, sub 500, and then they come back. And all of a sudden these guys are on winning streaks and winning bonuses and things like that. One of the biggest people always ask me, what's the thing that Coach Saban taught you? And it's not really necessarily anything that he taught me, but one of the things that he was best at articulating was the process and getting guys, and, in your case, guys and girls, to buy into your process. And man, I think when players or fighters do that, man, it gives them like a little extra edge because they want to win for that coach, not necessarily for themselves or for their teammates, but it gives them something a little bit extra to strive for and work for. And how do you get people, I don't really necessarily want to know, want you to give away what your process is, but how do you go about getting the fighters to buy into your system and believe in what it is that you're teaching and coaching, from the point to, and, they move back from Las Vegas back to Kansas City, which, man, let's be honest, the weather in Vegas is so much nicer than the frozen tundra of Kansas City, So what are you doing?
Oh, man, obviously I knew you played at Alabama, but for whatever reason, it spaced me until you just brought that up. I'm a huge Nick Saban fan. And I don't really know any of his credentials or anything like that, but I study good coaching.
Just know that.
And yeah. Oh no, I mean, obviously, yeah. He's probably, arguably the greatest college football coach of all time. I mean,
no argument. He is.
Yeah, I mean, if there's another argument, he's got to be in the argument, right? Like, I study good coaching. Like, I really I try to. He actually has one of my favorite quotes that I use as a coach a lot. It's you don't drill it until you get it right. You drill it until you can't get it wrong. And that's one of the things that I use that a lot. And it's so true. It's like, man, it's and it works well for guys that aren't necessarily super talented and don't really some of the things just don't click, right? Like, some of the things don't click for these guys. And that's, I say go back to my boy Nick here, and you drill it until you can't get it wrong. But I think man, I'm big. Like, I like him. I like PJ Fleck. And these guys are all culture driven and process driven, right? Like, it's all about a culture, because whenever you compete at a high level, I feel like there has to be a bigger picture other than yourself, right? Like, it's just so easy to quit on yourself. I feel like, you know what I mean? Because, like, sometimes you can get in your own way, and it's just so much easier to work for somebody else than it is for yourself, right? It's easier to have a discussion about like how awesome something else is, or how awesome somebody else is, and how you don't want to let them down, than it is yourself. So I'm extremely culture driven, and I think the confidence within the culture comes from consistency, right? Like, whenever these guys, my guys, they're on a schedule, and this isn't for everybody. I got to be honest with you guys. I'm not for everybody. And I posted something the other day about this, and it basically, I can't remember, it was another college football coach that was talking about this. And it was like, I don't really like coaching a lot of, like, veterans. Like, I like to coach the guys that are on losing streaks. I like to coach the guys that are I think the word they use were renegades, like outcasts, outliers, like people that maybe they don't quite understand them, or the rookies that somebody hasn't given them a chance yet. I like coaching those guys because they're much more receptive to changing things into good coaching, and they're much more receptive to culture. What I found with a lot of the veterans is they do it how they do it, and they've been doing it this long, so why change it? And it's just, I feel like in a sport that evolves every single week, like you see something crazy every week, right? You know, I'm sure on Saturday we're going to see something. We'll see something crazy, right? And I feel like you have to evolve, not just technically, but in your process and your mental approach and your physical approach and everything. And like we have to constantly work to evolve that along with the game, because the game is so young still, the sport, you know. And but those guys are extremely process driven, and I feel like whenever you set a structure around the process and around the culture, you know, like this is your schedule. If you're late or you don't show up, don't fucking come back. I say that all the time. Like, especially the guys that like, if you're 0-3 and you're about to get cut, or if you're in a spot where like you come to me like, man, I really need you. I said, this is your schedule. If you're late or you don't show up, don't fucking come back. Like, I don't need you. You need me. You need to understand that. Right. And I'm not trying to be a dickhead about it, but it's like, listen, you have to understand. I mean, you have to understand what's at stake here, right? Like, I don't need you. I don't need any of my guys. Most of my guys are homegrown, right? Like, I don't need people to come in and feed. Like, most of my guys are homegrown. And that's the mark of a good coach, in my opinion. Or I'm not saying I'm a good coach, 100%. But like, you know, people that make, who have you created? You know what I mean? Who have you created? Not who do you coach? Who have you created? And that's important to me. And but these, and they understand that. They understand like, hey, this is what I'm going to do for you, and this is what you're going to do in return, and this is what is at stake, right? This is what's at stake to get that. This is what we have to do to get the goals that you said you want to do. So later on down the road, if you say, hey man, I don't want to go to practice everywhere. No. You told me that you wanted to be in the UFC, and you told me that this was required. This is what the schedule we needed to make to get this shit done. This is what you said to me, what we needed to do. So don't come, you know, these are your words, not mine. And I just feel like it's easier if you hold people accountable for what they say they're going to do. It's so much easier to get a buy-in. You know what I mean? To get a real buy-in on people fitting into the culture, fitting into the team atmosphere, and essentially like, you know, working for something bigger than themselves.
You know, I think you hit something when you said, you know, if you're late or don't show up, don't come back. Because the thing that I've seen, you know, traveling around, you know, to other camps and stuff is, now, a lot of fighters don't necessarily respect their coach's time. And for me, time is everything. Like, I can't stand when, okay, practice starts at 9:00. I'm here at 9:00, you know, and then practice doesn't get going until 9:30 because no one else shows up till like 9:15 or whatever. And it just drives me nuts because, man, I have this hour and a half to work. And when I'm not doing this, man, I'm out trying to make money. So yeah, not only you fucking up my time, but now you're fucking up my money. And that it just blows my mind. Like, how is everybody okay with, you know, or not showing up at all? That's to me, that's like the most disrespectful thing. Cause okay, shit happens sometimes. Hey, my alarm clock didn't go off, or, you know, I slept through my alarm, traffic, whatever. As long as it's not a habit, like every now and again, like,
yeah, life happens, right? Like,
okay, I get it. Happens. But man, you habitually are late or don't show up to practice. Like, how? You're not even, at this point, like, you're not even respecting your own career, let alone my time. And to me, my time, especially now that I got other like business ventures and things going on, man, you're fucking me up. You know, super disrespectful. In my opinion, you know, time 100%, is everything,
man. 100%. Time is everything. And the people that do that, to me, there's always a struggle with time and money, right? Like, people with money typically want more time. And people with time typically want more money. Sure. And it's like, once you, especially with me, like, I have kids. Like, right now I'm in Vegas right now, and then I have a week off, and then I'm back to back 4 weeks in a row, and I just came off a 6 week in a row stint. So it's like, dude, like, you know, I don't have a lot of time with my family. So if you cut into that time, we got fucking problems. And my guys know that. You know what I mean? Like, they know, dude, don't be late. Life happens. If there's traffic or whatever, you know, for sure, every day at 5 o'clock, there's going to be traffic. You know what I mean? Like, leave earlier. But like, if there's a wreck or something, and dude, just text me, shoot me a message, shoot me a courtesy, and say, hey man, I'm going to be late. I'm sorry, blah, 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 won't happen again. No problem. And I always say it like this: there's an emotional bank account, right? Like, bro, if you are on time every single day for 2 years straight, and you're late 5 minutes one day, I won't even say a word to you. Because you have so much money in that bank account, in my emotional bank account, like, you can afford to take some deposits out, right? Like, it doesn't matter. But if your ass is bankrupt in there, we're going to have some problems. You know, you're going to have some overdraft fees, and you're going to get hit with some fines. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. And that sometimes it is like that. There is foreclosure to where you say, dude, like, we're not a good fit, man. Like, you just need to figure something. And I've kicked multiple people out of my gym for it. Like, I don't, that is the whole reason that whole Buckley deal got started, is I didn't want him in my gym. I didn't think he was a good fit for my team, you know? And I wasn't disrespectful about it. I said, man, like, you're looking for a place to spar and you don't want a team. You just want bodies. And I'm not that guy, you know what I mean? And no disrespect. And he took it as disrespect, which is fine. But
fighters are very emotional creatures, you know? So, but
yeah. But anyway, it's just setting that structure. The structure is what brings confidence. That's what brings confidence, in my opinion. You being under Saban, like, you know, like, you're structured. Everything is, and you have confidence in that, knowing that, man, I have done everything that I possibly can to make sure I'm ready for whatever competition is next.
You know, to me, one of the a mark of a not just a good coach, but a great coach, is that the greats kind of tailor their coaching style per individual, right? 100%. Coaching, I've never thought is like cookie cutter. This is the way I am. This is the way I'm a coach. You know, every single fighter, every single player I have on my team. But, you know, I keep bringing up Saban just because, like, we're both familiar with him and whatnot. But
it's great,
man, this dude, like, if he felt like you were going to contribute to the team, he made you go talk to this dude called the Wizard. He's this old white dude with white hair, just, you know, hair, you know, like Albert Einstein, just all over the place, and this crazy beard. And he was a shrink. Come to find out, man, this dude like interrogated POWs in Vietnam. So yeah,
I've heard of this.
Yeah. So we called it getting mind fucked, because, you know, guys would go in there with, you know, one attitude, and then he'd start like talking to you and asking these questions. And man, you'd leave there with a totally different perspective. And, you know, that was kind of like part of his.
I'm going down the rabbit hole with this, bro. I'm going down the rabbit hole with this.
It was
as soon as
crazy.
we get off, I'm looking into this.
I've never talked to a shrink or anything like that, but after talking to that dude, man, it's like, you know, ready to run through a brick wall. Like, okay, I get it. I understand, you know, but what he's really doing is trying to understand the player on an individual level. Like, if I yell at Eric, is he gonna, you know, is that gonna put him in the tank? Is he gonna start playing like shit, or is it gonna motivate him to make him play better? Okay, for Eric, this is what works, but for, you know, Mark Ingram, this is what works. You know, so how do you go about tailoring? I mean, if you do that, I don't know, but I have to imagine you do, because, you know, I hear the way you talk to your fighters in between rounds and in the third round, if they're down, you know, you're not talking to everybody the same. You know, you're not talking to Deacon Anderson the same way that you talk to Julian or Grant Dawson. So, you know, how do you approach that part of the game?
It's funny that you're asking me this, because I've always known, you know, subconsciously, you just know personalities, right? Like, you just know, like, hey, man, like, I can't talk to this person like this. Like Julian, I could fucking yell at Julian. Like, I could scream at Julian, and he'll get motivation from that, right? Like, Krause is getting in my ass. I got to go do something. Whereas other guys, they fold to that pressure. So you got to, like, I've always subconsciously known, like, how I could talk to people. But it's crazy that you asked that, because literally last week, I just had all my guys take a personality test. And within that personality test, they're it's if you really want to dive down the rabbit hole, it gets crazy.
Let's go.
So
babe.
there's the personality portion of this, right? And it's just basically like I think I'm an ESFJ, which if you do it, it's like 16 questions. It's super easy. Just type in free personality test, and it's like 16 questions, and it'll tell you, not only tell you what your personality is, but it'll tell you how to deal with that person offensively, defensively, like what kind of emotions you run into, like your strengths, weaknesses, blah, blah, blah. But and that's nice to know, because I feel like I've kind of known that anyway. Like, subconsciously, I know how to talk to Gina, and I know how to talk to Tim, and I know how to, you know what I mean? Like, I've known them for so long. I'm friends with these people. So I know how to talk to them. But where it goes down the rabbit hole is, with those personalities are also assigned like motor skills. Fine motor skills versus gross motor skills. Like, you're a gross motor skilled fighter. So like, now, as I approach a lot of these fights, I start looking at their motor skills and how they're like, for example, Tim is a fine motor skilled person that's been doing gross motor skills his whole life with wrestling. Right. So
what's the difference between fine and gross motor skills?
Yeah, so like gross motor skills typically refer to like a limb. They're I'll relate it to MMA a little bit. So if anybody listening, they'll kind of understand. To me, like a gross motor skill person would be like a Grant Dawson, right? Somebody that's like I'm gonna physical, like I'm strong, I'm physical. Gross motor skills refer to like an entire arm or an entire leg, where fine motor skill people refer to grips, finger, whatever. They're much more detailed people. Like I'm a fine motor skilled person. Like, and what I'm finding is if you go through, like, especially in striking, like gross motor skill people are like, I'm coming forward. They strike like this a lot. I'm coming forward. I'm not jabbing. Yeah, I'm not jabbing. I'm throwing hammers at you the whole time. Do something about it, right? Like, you know what I'm going to do, bring that shit. Where fine motor skill people, they understand like the movement, the range, they have good feet, and you don't have to teach them these things. They just naturally pick it up, right? Like, the Grant is an extremely fine, gross motor skilled person, where he's like, I'm going to get in your face. I'm going to hit you hard. I'm going to pick you up and I'm going to put you where I want you. You know what I'm going to do something about it. I'm physical. And typically gross motor skill people have better cardio. It's because they're I think they're more used to imposing their body on people.
Sure.
To where fine motor skill people are a little bit more efficient, where they can kind of like use the clock a little bit better. They typically have a slightly higher fight IQ. They understand range better. They can do the same amount of work with less energy. And so like when I approach these things, it's like I'm even going down the rabbit hole even more now, right? So we're talking like right now, I won't get specific, but I have a fighter right now that's fighting like a very, very extreme gross motor skilled fighter. And so like if I say, okay, let's fit in a little bit and let's look for a takedown. So it even goes as far as like how we, like, what takedowns we approach with. So typically gross motor skill people have heavy hips. They understand bodily function, but they're balanced. Like if you think like an extreme gross motor skill person, like very, very consistently strong, but they're not overly detailed with their footwork and stuff like that. So in my head, I'm like, let's put them on a single. Let's make them bounce on that one leg, and let's turn them into a fine motor skilled fighter. You know what I mean? And it obviously, the thing with all of this is like at the end of the day, it's still a fight, right? Like that's the X factor with all of this shit, right? If you hit a home run, the fight's over. You know what I mean? Like, so like that's the X factor. But I would be lying to you if I said it didn't change the way I, at least it doesn't change it doesn't change what I do in the fight, but it does change the way I have been approaching fights. And it changes the way I approach my individual fighter as well. It's definitely given me an understanding, a more of an individual understanding of my fighter and how to deal with that person and what is going on in their head, rather than my version, right? Because it's all perception when you get in there. So like I'm trying to understand what they are going through, and I feel like it makes me a much better coach and much more relatable to them. Which once again, you get the buy-in with the culture to where you want to win for Nick Saban, you could give a shit less about Eric. Like I want to win for Nick. I want to win for Coach Saban. And that's kind of like, that's just one of the recent things that I've done.
Yeah, man, that's super. I think it's super imperative that the coach learn their athlete,
absolutely,
from a personality and like a strength and weakness level perspective as well. Are you a coach that like trains strengths and man, you're so good at wrestling, this is how we're going to win our fight, so let's wrestle? Or you're extremely deficient in the striking, there may be a dude that you can't take down or get close to, so we need to work on the striking? Or is it like, how do you approach like the strength and weaknesses? Because I've heard both philosophies, and they've had success with both philosophies. But for me, I like, man, your weaknesses can really come to light at a point where you like it's over with if it happens during a fight. Like if you finally realizing, oh, my striking sucks this bad, my footwork sucks this bad, and now I'm fighting a striker who can bob and weave and has all this footwork. Yeah. And I've been in that situation, man. It's like,
to me, the answer is yes, right? Like I don't really look at my fighter so much on that one. I look at who we're fighting. So you obviously want to round out both of them, but for example, when I first started, I think I have a fairly good guillotine. When I first started like getting a little bit more known in my gym for it, a lot of the coaches that I had at the time were saying like, hey, your guillotine's really good. You need to move away from that. And for me, I never understood that because it was so stupid for me, because it was like, I could still guillotine you. Like, okay, so for me, if I have a good guillotine and you and I roll and I say, Eric, you know what's coming. Like, I'm going to look for that guillotine. Stop it. You know what I mean? Like, then I level up again on that, right?
Sure.
Like, and what I like about things like that is it increases your danger factor as a fighter, right? Once you can't, you know what I'm going to do and you still can't stop it. That for me enables me to add, like if we're a like creative character on a video game, there's a stat on there that is danger factor, the ability to either dictate where the fight takes place or dictate or the ability to finish the fight at any time, right? And I think that's super important to have against select fighters is a high danger factor, like the ability to, in that fight, or dictate where the fight takes place. So it kind of depends on who we are fighting on. If, you know, like if like Grant Dawson, his striking isn't like, it's not bad. But it's not overly rounded either, but he is a hammer on wrestling, man. His wrestling is so good. So I'm constantly looking for different ways for him to take people down. And we for sure are actively working on his striking as well. But man, like I don't, like, you know, the shot's coming, stop it. You know what I mean? And there will be guys that do stop it. There will be guys that do stop it. His last fight, guy stopped it most of the time. But when Grant got him down, he buzzsawed through a 7-time world champion on the ground. Like, you think that's by accident? No, that's by just, you don't drill it till you get it right. You drill it till you can't get it wrong. And so it kind of, to answer your question, it kind of depends on A, who my fighter is, and B, more importantly to me, who we are fighting. Like, is that person going to be able to 100% stop what we're doing? Because if you're trying to stop the takedown, okay, well, what kind of takedown? Like, are we talking about open mat wrestling? Are we talking about cage wrestling, singles, doubles? Because I know a lot of people that are really good at stopping doubles, but can't stop a fucking body lock takedown to save their goddamn life.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I know a lot of people that can stop takedowns on the fence. If you watch Tim Elliott's last fight against Jordan Espinoza, had a really difficult time taking him down on the fence. I said, Tim, just switch your shot to open mat. 2 takedowns in a row. Boom, boom. Easy. Right? Like, so it's not necessarily about completely moving away from what we're talking about, maybe just making small adjustments within that one arena, if that makes sense. So, but once again, all on your individual fighter. You got to know your fighter. Like you just said this before, like, that's because I know Tim Elliott's open mat takedown is cash money. Like, I know it's really good, and I know him really well, and I take the time to learn his game and to understand what he's doing. So knowing your athlete is huge.
So are you big on film and watching your fighter's opponent?
Definitely. 100% I am. Absolutely. I mean, I think it's crazy not to. Like, when you're saying, when I look at the best coaches of all time, like, start naming them off. Saban's one of them. I like PJ Fleck, Bill Belichick. And this is just football alone, right? Like, do those guys watch film? Fuck, they're the wizards of watching film. Are you kidding me? Like, they're the best in the fucking world at breaking down plays. And that's, as a fight, that's the problem is, and this is where I try to take football and I relate it to MMA. And I feel like I'm just going on a fucking tangent right now, but I get gassed up about this. So I feel like the problem with like, let's say football, these guys aren't breaking down games. They're breaking down plays.
Right.
Like, they're breaking down individual plays. Like, this play, these guys got exposed. Let's look more at that. Of course, they're breaking down the game, but they're not looking at the game as a whole. They're looking at what happened here? What happened in this one play? Right? They don't break down halves. They don't break down quarters. They're breaking down plays. And in MMA, there is no plays, right? So I try to create these plays, like these little scenarios, right? So I try to make, like, where does this play stop and this play start? And I try to recreate that, and like, what happened right here that they fucked this play up? You know what I mean? Like, because if you watch a fighter as a whole, it can be very intimidating at times. But if you watch a play, you can really start to see the mistakes. And because everybody makes them. I don't care how good they are. Everybody makes mistakes in this game, right? Like, some are few and far between. But when you start breaking down plays, you're at least able to get a better grasp of what that fighter's doing.
You know, to further break that down about football, man, Monday would be our big meeting day when I was at Bama. And they would come in with this 2-inch, 3-inch binder with, all their tendencies and stuff. And it was to the point where all right, if it's 1st and 10, you know, on their 20 coming out and this guy goes in motion, 90% chance they're running this play, 12% chance of running this, and like 8% chance of running that. So, man, on defense, we got the defensive call and everybody just looking. Okay, here's a situation, 1st and 10 on their 20 coming out. Oh, he's going to motion. Okay, jet sweep. And, man, I can even show you a play. We were playing Kentucky. And, you know, just that situation, every time Randall Cobb went in motion from left to right, it was a jet sweep. He was getting the ball. So as soon as I seen him coming from the receiver position, and so I just took off to our sideline and met him on the sideline.
That's awesome.
Behind the line of scrimmage. I already know what's up. I'll roll the dice. If there's 90% chance what the play is, I'm going. If I could have odds like that in Vegas, forget this fighting junk. You know.
Yeah.
I think you know, you can break down MMA fighting film like that. You know, for example, when I fought Jocko, I knew when his back was against the cage, him being a lefty, me being a lefty, his check hook was going to be his way out off the cage. You know. Well, I take that back. I didn't realize that till after I fought him, but
it's the same. It's the same.
You know, they're like situations. Okay, when this guy, what's his favorite get up if he gets taken down? What's his favorite submission? What's his favorite combination? If we're out in space, if his back is against the cage, if I'm against the cage, you know, what are their tendencies to do? And, you know, ever since I started working with Eddie Chaw, man, he's like that. He's big on film. And I think if you look from one fight to the next, and I was just telling Jason House this, I had him on earlier, man, we ran like the same 3 combinations. I wasn't overloaded. You know, we just ran like the same 3, you know, combinations over and over and over and over again. And it was to the point where I knew if I hit him solid with a solid shot, he was going to swing hard back with not even a straight right hand, but like a looping right hand. So I hit him with the left, faded, washed his hand, crossed my face, and then boom with the uppercut. And man, we must have did that like 1,000 times over the course of a camp. And I was like, oh, okay. So this makes much more sense. I'm not thinking about 500 different combinations or variables. This is what's most likely going to happen. And, you know, I think it just made me a better fighter, a more conscious fighter. You know, I wasn't thinking of a whole bunch of, there wasn't a lot of like stuff running through my head. So I think the less you think and the more prepared you are, the less hesitation. And in a game of inches like this is, you know, milliseconds is a big deal.
Well, I think you talk about the pad work. Like one of the things that drives me nuts in watching pad work in boxing and MMA is like the guys that are like feet planted, they're like jab, cross, hook, jab, cross. Like that's not a real fight. That's not what a fight looks like. And you've hit with me before. Like I'm very big on reactionary. You know what I mean? Like drawing in and out. Like just it's not even really combination. It's just kind of flowing. Like you know, just reacting accordingly. And it's very basic, straight punches. You know what I mean? And then adding, you know, a 2 or 3 punch combo here and there. And then obviously as we get a fight, we would get a little bit more specific with that. But like, dude, these guys will just stand there. They're flat-footed as hell, jab, cross, hook, and then they're like, man, I can't seem to put it together when I go in a fight. Well, no shit, you're not moving your damn like you're not even, you know what I mean? There's nothing what you're doing in your pad work or your drilling looks anything like what your fight looks like. It looks nothing like it. Like, how can you expect? Like, that's what football looks. You know what I mean? Look at football plays. Those guys they're doing scrimmages. They're doing the actual plays. That has to look the fucking same. The consequence has to be the same. It all has to be the same, right? Like, or at least a representation of that. So
kind of like not emulate, but simulate the fight or the game. You know,
you want it to be as close as possible, right? I mean, you have to be as close as possible without taking the consequential damage to the head, or in your case with football, getting beat up on the, you know, you don't want to take a full shot every day in practice. Like, but if we can do the same motion, the same plays at 25% rather than 100, we can visually and subconsciously or unconsciously understand what's happening before it happens. Like you said, milliseconds make all the difference in the world. So when you see that guy in motion, you already know where it's happening. You already know what's happening. You don't need to think about it. It's already there. You just take your ass off to the sideline and you got a good shot of getting it.
Cool, man. So I kind of want to switch gears from you coaching, you as the coach, to you as the fighter. All right, man. And I think also another underrated fighter on the roster, motherfucker. A lot of people say anytime, anywhere, but very few people have fucking taken a fight up a weight class on less than 24 hours notice. Like, I think it was Trevin Giles. His opponent fell out, and he's like, I can do it, you know? And I think that's like, a lot of people say that and want to be that guy or girl or whatever. But, man, I think, you know, your heart has to pump something different. You know, you have to, that's not normal. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And, like, what goes through your mind is like that scenario is playing out.
I'd like to sit here and tell you that I'm like, yo, I'm that motherfucker. I'm just not afraid of nobody. And that's not real. So I'll give you the honest answer. The honest answer was the initial thought that went through my head was like, if I take this and they do this, it's win-win for me. Like, I can't lose here. No matter what happens in this fight, I can't lose. Right? Like, I can lose the competition, but there's bigger things. That's what people need to understand in MMA.
Sure.
Is there's two fights. There's the competition and then there's the storyline. Right? So there's no way I can lose the competition. That's always up for grabs, right? Like, there's no way I can lose the storyline on this. No matter if I get knocked out in 10 seconds, I can't lose this storyline. There's going to be no bad press for me that comes from this. Secondly, and the second thing that went through my head was like, if this is a decent fight at all, I'm getting a fight of the night bonus.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way you could pull me from that. So that's another 50 G's. And then lastly was like, if I do this, the circumstances that have set into play have put me in a position to where I'm able to ask for pretty much whatever I want here. Right. So I use that to boost my contract pretty substantially.
Easy.
Right. Like,
easy.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, you have to. And I knew that they were in a spot because he was the main event of the ESPN portion, I believe. And he's from Houston, which is where the fights were. And I knew they needed this spot. Like, I'm not stupid. I know how this game works. I've been in this game for a long time. I knew they needed a spot. So I knew, I knew that I had them in a good, I was in a good position, right. To really make some money here. And I'll be honest, lastly, I liked the fight. I still do. I would fight this guy. I think Trevin is really good. If you watch him, he's continuing to do good. He's a good fighter. If I had any, I still feel like I won the fight. But that's neither here nor there. I didn't win the fight. Yeah, unfortunately, there's no comments box next to the W or the L, right? It's like, you just won or you fucking lost, you know? So, but I feel like I won the fight. And I feel like with any notice at all that I would dominate that fight, right? Like, I don't think that fight gets out of the first round if I have any notice at all. Like, I was drinking a Coke and I was eating like an ass. I trained for 6 hours that Tuesday. I trained 2 3-hour sessions with Mark on that Tuesday of fight week, right? Like, I walked in the fight at like 180, 185, 186. Like, I weighed in after everybody weighed in at 9 a.m. I weighed in at like 5 p.m. So like, it wasn't even, and I'm guessing he was every bit of, I don't know, 205, 210, 215, somewhere in there. I don't know how big he gets. I don't know. He was a lot bigger than me, though. I know that.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, man, like the biggest thing for me was like, how do I make this into something for me? You know what I mean? Like, so financially, I knew that I had him by the balls and I could really do something good there. And I know it's a win-win, right? Like, the UFC needed me too. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not like I fucking broke them. You know what I mean? Like, the raise I asked for is pennies for what they're paying out. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not stupid. Like, come on, man. But I knew I could bump my contract really good. I knew that if the fight was good at all, that I had a really good shot at getting fight of the night. And I knew that I really couldn't lose. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't lose the storyline. Like, it was really difficult for me to lose. Even if I got knocked out in 10 seconds, I couldn't really lose. And from the fighting perspective, I thought stylistically I matched up really well with him. You know, if I had the gas to go a hard 15 like I normally do, I feel like I win that fight fairly easily. You know what I mean? Like, but I wasn't in anywhere close to fight shape at all. But I felt like it was a scenario where I really couldn't fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, it was good for me, and all, it was win across the board. I couldn't mess it up. I didn't feel like it. Very little chance that I could. I just didn't see any negative that could come from it. So I was like, fuck it, I'll do it.
Well, man, I think your popularity as a fighter really like exploded after that fight in that situation. And man, I kind of was in the same situation. You know, I think the only Mick Maynard hit me up in my DMs about fighting Thiago Santos. And the only reason why he couldn't get a hold of Jason, because Jason was on a flight back from Russia. And so he was like, man, would you want to fight Thiago in 6 days? I was just like, what the money look like? That's all I cared about. I was like, shit, I'll fight whatever, man. You know, what the money look like. And then he was silent on me. He ghosted me. I was like, dang, I just fucked that up.
No, you didn't.
he fucked around and got a hold of Jason. And then Jason was like, boom, this is what we're going to do. Boom, boom, boom. This is what you're going to get. So I like, all right, got my visa, baby. Let's go, you know. And, man, like you, is probably the best performance, even though I lost. And I'm not saying this for you, but for me, it was probably the best performance that I had against a dude who 3 fights later, you know, is fighting John Jones for the belt.
Yeah. But circumstantial though, right? Like it's given what you had 6 days, I thought you looked great. You know what I mean? Like this is, dude, that's what people don't understand. People don't understand the difference between fight shape and not fight shape. You know, like I would like to think oh yeah. That's the most tired I've ever been in my life.
Yeah. And especially
it's a different ballgame.
Somebody, you know, banging on you, hitting on you and whatnot. So it's great. Do you have anything coming up in the near future? Any fights booked for yourself?
No, I can't even get a weekend off right now. Like there's no way. Like I have Julian this weekend. I'm off next weekend, and then I have Jeff Molina, and then I have James Gallagher on Bellator, and then I have TJ Brown on UFC, and then Gina on UFC. And then right now, the next book after that is in June with Tim Elliott, but I'm sure we'll get it's, you know, it'll just recycles at that point, really. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like that's why I like taking the short notice stuff. I stay in pretty good shape all the time, but my last 2 fights, I've been on 1 day and 12 days notice. I like that. I don't mind it. I stay in pretty good shape, and, you know, it's easier for me to dictate who I'm fighting. I like it.
For me, it was the best because, man, there was not a lot of thinking going on. There wasn't like I do like trying to like break down fighters and stuff, but I'll just let, man, fuck it. I'm just going to go in here and fight and, you know, see what happens.
Yeah. No, what I did was I just said, hey, this guy is closest to Warley Alves, who I had already fought and knocked out. I said, this is the closest fighter that I fought to him. Let's just rock with that game plan. And I, you know, obviously it's a little bit more difficult to execute when you don't have the fight cardio to back it up, but
sure.
I stuck to it as much as I could, you know,
especially when the game plan is to wrestle. Like, I feel like, you know, boxing and kickboxing, like you can kind of catch your breath in between, you know, combinations, take a step back, footwork, move around, catch your breath within the round. But with wrestling, if that's your game plan, but you got to be in shape to do that shit. Because I don't care who you are, you know, what you got going on, especially somebody who's bigger than you, stronger than you. They're fighting off the takedown. They're trying to get up. They're in fight shape. Man, that shit is difficult.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I know you, your coach, Mark Montoya. What's the connection with you guys there? Like, why is Mark your guy?
Yeah, so complete random, to be honest with you. I was coaching Tim Elliott, and he was fighting Zach Makovsky in Broomfield, Colorado, which is essentially Denver. We decided to go out a couple weeks early. And we trained at Factory X. I had a connection with just some friends there. So we basically just used the facility to train there for a couple of weeks and get acclimated to the altitude. And went out there. I really liked his, you know, I liked his practices. I liked his coaching style, you know, and I was still fighting. And I was at a spot where I wasn't really being coached. I was kind of coaching myself. And it just, you know, it doesn't really work. Yeah, it is.
Because you don't have anybody like, hey, you know, you need to keep your hand up, or, you know, give you advice, you know, tell you how to play.
It's really tough, man. It's really difficult. And more from the mental aspect. Like I'm extremely coachable. Like I like to be coached, and it's tough whenever you just don't have any direction. You know what I mean? And so anyway, we fought, and Tim fought, and later I seen Mark on the road. We were coaching. We both had guys on Titan Fighting in North Carolina. And I hit pads with him, and just really liked what he did. And I was just in a spot in my career where I dropped two in a row. And at that time, back then, it was like, if you lost 2 in a row, you could potentially be cut. But if you lost three in a row, it was for sure you're done, right? Like for sure you're out. And I was at a spot where I was just like, I was kind of like, man, should I just quit? You know, should I retire? What should I do? And I talked to him. I remember this conversation very vividly. We were on the bench at Factory X, and I talked to him for probably 45 minutes to an hour, and he convinced me. He said, man, just give me one shot. You know what I mean? Like, and I went out there, I did my camp with him, and my first fight with him was Darren Crookshank. And I still to this day, that the only fight that I've lost with Mark is the Trevin Giles fight. That's the only fight that I've lost with him. So I think I'm 7 for 8 with him, I think. You know, and I got with him since 2015. I think that's the only fight that I've lost with Mark.
And I don't necessarily know if we can count that taking a fight on a day's notice, you know. So that's a mulligan, you know. We won't hold that. But dude, he is that's a coach, man. I did a camp up there and, you know, grew exponentially. Mark, and, you know, there's just room full of killers. And yeah. So
his leadership is the best. It's not even like, listen, he has training partners, he has great people there, great fighters. But you can get great fighters just about anywhere, right? Like, I mean, you can go to Couture's, there's good looks there, and they have good coaching too. I love Eric. I love what Eric's doing there. But for me, Mark and I are very similar, wired, and for me, his leadership is why I go there. You know, he knows how to talk to me, and at this point, we've been together for so long. You know, he's like a father figure to me. So I owe him a lot, and now he's helping me grow as a coach as well. You know, just the structure that he lays out. He's very strict on his guys. You know, we're very similar in coaching. We have a few differences, but I've really grown massively from learning from him as you know, as a fighter, as a coach, as a man. Like, he's just really helped mentor me into, you know, he just has a good way of talking to me, and I don't think he's for everybody either. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think every coach is for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, but he's a really good fit for me. He's a really good fit for me.
Absolutely. All right, switching gears once more. Man, you really fly under the radar on a lot of things, and one of the big things I think, especially from fighters, is that a lot of these guys and girls are not financially savvy.
No.
Whatsoever, have no idea what to do with the pennies that they're earning, you know. You, and talking to you, man, you got so many different streams of revenue coming in, and man, I just want to talk about that. Like, are you
hey, you're one to talk, you're the one under the radar, bro. You even surprised me.
This is the thing. My wife is the quarterback.
Doesn't matter.
My wife is a quarterback. Man, I'm telling Jason this is how much I suck with money. When I got done playing college, there's a local artist here in Birmingham who all the big plays of the season, he makes a poster, like he makes like does a painting. And man, he paid me. I signed like 2,500 of these posters. Like, it took all day, like 8 hours. But at the end of the day, he gave me a check for $25,000. You know what I did? Take one guess what I did with that money.
I don't know if I want to know.
Man, I wasn't even in the parking lot booking a flight to Vegas. Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy, Eric Anders, and this episode of Kickin' It With Your Boy is sponsored by Men and Nails. Man, it's time to start taking care of our hands and nails. Cut your nails. I said, hell yeah, I'm rich. I'm finna fucking go ham. But man, you know, at 22 years old, you know, I was just really looking for the next, you know, time, you know. But now at 33, man, the game has changed. And my wife, she equates everything to, you know, everything you buy, how much you have to work to afford that. Like, if I want a pair of shoes for her, like it's a little bit easy to calculate because, you know, she teaches classes and she gets paid X amount for the classes that she teaches and whatnot. But she's like, if I want this pair of shoes, how many classes do I have to teach? And I was working at the gym too, you know, while we were together. So she's like, man, if you want this pair of shoes, how many private lessons do you have to teach? You know, so she just kind of gave me this whole, you know, different perspective on money and like financial responsibility. But who taught you, or did you just like read books, or, you know?
Nobody taught me. Life taught me.
Yeah, exactly.
The game taught me. I got spit out real quick. I feel like though, like, as a 22-year-old kid, you almost like, I feel like you have to go through that, right? Like you have to fuck something up along the way to give you that, like that pit in your stomach. That's like, I don't want to do that shit again.
Yeah.
You'll never do that again. You would never. Right? I mean, I don't think so.
And listen, man, don't get it twisted. I didn't like blow $25,000 in
Sure.
Vegas in one trip, but I couldn't tell you what I spent that $25,000 on. If that happened today, if someone just wrote me a check right now, boom, for 25, I'd go look for a foreclosed home to buy.
You'd have a plan for it. You'd have a plan for it.
I would look, in the stock market and, try to invest that money. Like I wouldn't just, hell yeah, party time, you know?
Man, I grew up extremely poor, like really poor. And I started fighting. I don't want to make this a huge, long story, but long story short, I got signed to Bellator. I had I lost every big fight that came my way, pretty much. Anyone that would lead me to any type of real success. And I got signed to Bellator on short notice, cut 33 pounds in 5 days, almost died. And I got $10,000 to show. And I remember texting my wife one day, looking at my bank account. We had like $1,700 in it, $1,800 in it, or something. I don't even remember what the number was. It was like, this shit's gone. And I texted her. I said, where's this money at? And she was like, I don't know. I haven't bought anything. And like, we go back and look at it, and we basically ate it, right? Like we just went out to eat, and but before I get into this, there's two types of people, and it's what's crazy is I'm actually doing this financial thing for Iridium tonight. Again, I'm doing another one.
Oh, cool.
I'm going to talk about this.
I missed out yesterday because I was doing a thing with doing an interview with somebody else, but I'll tune in tonight.
Yeah. So, but what I'm going to talk about is that there's two ways to make money, right? There's growers and there's savers. I'm not a saver. So like, for example, if you say, hey, like I need an extra $300 a month to afford new pairs of Nikes, I don't fucking know, whatever you want to buy. So if you say, hey, if I just don't buy Starbucks for $5 a day for 30 days, that'll save me whatever that is. I don't fucking know. What is that? Is that $150 a month? Something like that. Whatever the fucking math is. I'm not a math wizard here. I think it's $150 a month. You can save that $150, or my brain is like, I'm buying my fucking Starbucks. How else? Like, to me, and like this, there's so many stories that are going through my head right now. So you can save it, or you can be like, I want my damn Starbucks. I'll make the $150, right? Or there's fucked up individuals like myself that are like, this Starbucks is going to help me have peace of mind to make 300, right? Like, so like I just bought this is a story, and we kind of know each other. I like flipping stuff. Like I flip like watches, like, I'll buy a Rolex and flip it. I just bought a Rolex for $9,700 not too long ago, and just sold it 4 months later for $17,000. So I like to do stuff like that. So I was in the market for like my first exotic car. Like I wanted to buy an exotic car, and people were like, oh, that's stupid. The thing about exotic cars is if you buy them right, you won't lose money on them. You'll drive them for free. And so I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. I'm not sure if I want to spend the money, blah, blah, blah. And my friend, who does really well, he said, listen, James, he said, you need to buy this car. You want to know why? I said, I mean, you feel really passionate about this right now. I can't wait to hear this. He said, the brain space that you will open up by buying this car, to where it'll open up, what is it, 5%, 10% of your space where you're thinking about buying an exotic car, the brain space that you will open up will far exceed the money that you will spend on this car. So without diving into a bunch of things, my car payment's $1,500 a month. I invested, like a couple days later, I invested a little amount of cash, and I returned $3,000 a month. So in my head, I was like, that bought my car and cash flowed another $1,500. So like it freed my brain up 10%, whatever it was, to allow me to go use that 10% to bring in more money. Right. And I don't know if that's the truth or not, but dude, I've been having that mindset for about 13, almost 10 years now. And it's worked really well for me. You know what I mean? Like it's worked really well for me. I don't know where we were going with all this, like where this was going, but I feel like that's the what. Yeah, I mean, that's first off is two things: is mindset and education on finances. You ask how I learned all this. I learned by fucking up a lot, and like I'm very thrifty with how I approach things. Like I wear Rolex watches all the time, love them, high end watches, APs, I love them. But you know what? I buy them and I make money on them. Like if you buy a $25 Casio, you are losing more money buying that Walmart Casio than I am buying a Rolex. And I'll show you why. You driving a $7,000 Ultima, which there's nothing wrong with this, by the way. It's just mindset things. Like I'm driving a Porsche GT3. You are going to lose more money driving that Ultima than I am the GT3. And like, I am really thrifty with stuff like that. Like I like to have nice shit and not pay for it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That's the way to go, man. My wife told me to read a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I was like, whatever. But then
read it.
A buddy of mine put the book in my hands, and dude, once I started reading, I couldn't stop reading. And that's what we do now. You know, my wife,
first line of the book, the rich don't work for money. That's
right. But man, my wife, man, she put me on so much game, and it's crazy that, dude, she has a Tesla. We just got a new house. I just got a new truck, and we don't pay for anything. The assets that we've acquired, you know, from my fight purses, and then she makes money too, pays for everything. We're essentially living for free outside of like maintenance and stuff on the houses and stuff. Dude, we're just kicking it. I don't have to fight. You know what I mean?
The second line to that is the money works for them. That's what you're talking about.
But he talks about that in the book. You know, he doesn't, like, his assets pay for everything. He talks about cars specifically and how it's a depreciating asset, but it doesn't matter because he's not paying for the car. The house that he's renting out, so the duplex, real estate was his thing, is paying for everything. So I'm like, oh, okay.
But if you buy the right car, it's not a depreciating asset.
I don't know anything about cars, so.
Well, typically, if you buy a normal car, it's like if you just say, listen, cars are the worst investment you can make. Not all cars. If you buy an exotic car, if you buy it right, you can either make money or drive it for free. Like I will sell. I don't want to tell you I'll tell you offline, obviously, like what I paid for and stuff like that. But like, I will drive this car for a year and either make a little bit or break even on it.
Yeah, that's what Yasmin was even talking about, doing something similar to that with the Tesla, because it holds its value really well.
Yep.
And you get tax write-offs for that shit. So, man, you're already winning. Except in Alabama. Alabama's like the only state that you don't get like tax write-offs for driving an electric car. Like she'll get like federal money back. Like she can write it off on like federal taxes, but you know, down here in the South, you know, we just ain't quite learned the game yet. You know, how the world is moving. But it's okay. You're right. You know, you're right. But man, I see a lot of fighters, man. They make these big purses, you know, they make good money, and they don't have anything to show for it, man. You know, they're living in a house that they're paying $2,500 for rent. You know, they're you know, essentially doing what you're saying. They eat out every day, and you know, it's just always money out, money out, money out, money out.
These guys will be broke. They'll be broke as soon as they're done fighting.
Sustainable, you know. So, I think talking to guys like you, because you got the game figured out more than I do. I just kind of listen and, you know, soak up game from my old lady, because
she's great. She's
smart. I don't know, so let me go, you know, and I found somebody who does know how to do this stuff. And it's like, okay, Eric, this is what we're gonna do. This is how we're gonna do it. Boom, boom, boom. And then like even our trips and stuff, like our vacations and stuff, like we're not really paying for that, you know, our assets and stuff that we require. And now your boy getting into these pre-IPOs, boy found a way in. So don't fuck around, let your boy bubble off of this. Like it's gonna be over with.
Bro, that's for whatever reason, I get off on like finding weird stuff. Like you just said vacations. Like I don't pay for vacations. We put every purchase that we have on a credit card, and we get points on the credit card. And by the end of the year, we typically have built up enough points to buy all of the family's flights and hotel for the vacation for free. Like, but it's the same amount anyway. Like I'm not spending more just because it's on a credit card. Sure. I just pay off my credit card each month with my debit card. Like why would I not do that? You know what I mean? Like, and I get the points for it. Just little things like that, like buying a Rolex. Like I'm wearing a nice watch. Like I can make money on this watch. I could literally call somebody right now and sell this watch for more than I paid for it with one phone call. And like, man, I like stuff like that.
I kind of like dabbling in the shoe game. Like your boy got on a pair of Yeezys right now that I did not pay anywhere near the retail value. Oh, you got a pair too? Yeah, I got the lime green joints.
Those are dope.
Oh, shit, I'm knock some shit over. Boom. And I got the lime green joints, but man, I can turn around and sell these right now for like 5 times what I paid for them.
Yep.
I might wear them 2 or 3 times, you know what I'm saying? Get seen, take a pic for the gram, and then, all right, everybody done seen me, I got,
all right,
hop a new pair and get rid of them. As long as I don't like step in mud or,
tear. Yeah. The problem is these guys don't, I don't think they want to know, man. You know what I mean? Like they I don't know. Like I don't know why it is that they don't. I mean, all the information in the world is available on your phone. You know what I mean? Like why?
Sure.
And I don't know if it's because somebody hasn't told them or what it is, but like I know a lot of the guys don't understand the real estate game very much, because it's like, okay, why would I put, like I know the philosophy that you have. You like to buy all your stuff cash, where I put just the 20% down. But even with the 20% down, they just don't understand, like, why would I put, let's just call it 30,000 down on like $150,000 house. Why would I put 30,000 down to only cash flow $400 a month? But they don't, it did that right there is just, they don't get it, because what you don't understand is like, okay, you're cash flowing, but it's not just $400 a month. They're also paying your $750 payment a month. So it's really $750 plus, let's call it $400 of cash flow a month. Let's just, let's just call it $250 and even $1,000 a month. Right. So you put 30. So in 30 months, you got your money back. But what we also didn't talk about, you didn't talk about tax shelter. You didn't talk about appreciation of the asset. You didn't talk about all this. You know what I mean? It's just like, dude, it is a no brainer. So now, like what you're saying is all my stuff is essentially, and I'm using, while I'm still fighting, I use that money. I use the gym business, and I use fighting to pay to give my wife and kids this awesome lifestyle. I have a beautiful house and, drive nice cars, stuff like that. But all my investment money, anything outside of that, gym, like coaching, anything outside of that goes into the investment account. And that investment account, the money that I use, I don't even pay for my stuff that I want. I just use that money to reinvest in other assets, and then when I'm done fighting, then I will be able to use those assets to refi, pull cash out, you know what I mean? Whatever, to continue building assets. Because essentially you're just, the rich don't even use their own cash, right? They use other people's cash, or the asset, right? Like I have a bunch in crypto. Like I will put a loan against that money at some point, right? Like, dude, and this is what I'm talking about on the tonight on the empowerment forum with Iridium, is the SBA stuff with the PPP money. Like, first of all, a lot of these guys aren't even getting PPP money. Like, why are you not? It's free money. Like, why would you not get this? Second of all, they're giving fucking loans right now. Dude, I just got approved for $150,000 loan at 3.75% interest for 30 years. Dude, inflation is 3%.
Yeah.
Like, that's nothing. They're basically giving me money. And you know what I'm doing? I'm going to take that. I'll buy real estate. I'll buy Bitcoin. I'll buy something that is going to far exceed the 3.75%. And it's like, to me, it's crazy how if you're not getting wealthy right now, it's because you don't want to, or you don't know how to. And if you don't know how to, it's because you don't want to.
Man, I was telling somebody the other day that I was trying to put them on game, and I was like, man, I gave them this whole rundown, and it came out, I was like, man, I'm making like $200 off this house that, I spent like 50 grand on. And they're like, oh, but you're only making 200. I'm like, motherfucker, did you not just hear anything I just said? This house is like paying car payments. This house is paying groceries. This house is everything that I do. And it's not just this one house. So even if I am just making 200 and it's not paying for anything else, man, that's one, but there's several more that's going to add up to more than 200. And I can
come see me, come see me in 10 years and see what the house is worth then.
But then I realized, I was like, man, you know what? maybe it's true what Snoop Dogg says. The game is to be sold, not to be told. You know, because motherfucker, you give somebody something for free, they don't appreciate it. But
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Man, you know, but all right, and I'm not necessarily saying me, but somebody like you or Yasmin come pay to come, you know, listen to me tell you how to be financially savvy. You know, come spend your money to listen to me talk and get it. You know, learn something.
I've been working on a financial course, but man, what I really like, and I thought about selling it, and I'm still thinking about doing it, but where my passion lies is with helping the fighters, right? Because there's just such a huge void, or professional athletes in general. But I really connect to fighters just because like we're not making the 625 NFL league minimum. You know what I mean? Like if those guys aren't getting their shit together, it's because like you're just clearly fucking don't care. You know what I mean? Like you're making so much money that you clearly don't give a shit. You know, like
the common mistake for the athlete is they think they're going to do whatever sport there is and make that kind of money forever. But you know, so now they have, you know, I don't know, random number, $20,000, you know, a month going out between car payments, house payments, and, you know, living a lifestyle. You know, they get hurt, they get cut, you know, whatever happens, you know, you go from making, you know, $1 million a year, let's just say a football player, you know, league minimum 625, you go from making 625 a year, and you only make that in 17 weeks, by the way, because you only get paid during the season. To nothing. And now you have, you know, your house, your car that's not paid off. Man, all that shit going back to the bank.
That's the difference between being rich and being wealthy. Rich is cash flow, right? Like you're cash flowing, like you're working for your money. But the second that you stop working, the money stops coming, right? So then you have to take that money and make that money. Wealth is money making money. You know what I mean? Or, you know, the assets making money. Like you're not working for money. And that's the difference. I don't want to be rich. I want to be wealthy. That's the move. I don't want to work, man. I don't work a day in my life. I can, the beauty about what I have is like, I can come and go as I please. And I don't have to, you know, I love being here on the road with my guys and stuff like that, but I don't have to do this to pay my bills. You know, I don't have to do anything to pay my bills. And that's just, I don't need to fight that, dude, that right there, not having to fight puts you in such a golden position to where you're able to kind of step back like, nah, I'm good. You know, I can direct my career much better if I'm not working from a position of emotion.
Well, yeah. Also, you know, you see guys fighting in like their 40s and stuff, and you know, I hate to use like Anderson Silva. I don't know his financial situation, but man, you know, the guy was at the pinnacle of the sport, and then just keep on. But man, you know, Father Time waits for no man. You know, so I didn't ever want to be put in a position to where I have to keep fighting just to make it. And I truly believe that like once I'm done with the UFC or the UFC's done with me, like don't think I'm gonna fight ever again. Just because like for what, you know?
The problem is some of these guys are getting paid. Some of these guys are getting paid so fucking good, man. Like I was talking to Eddie Alvarez about this. Like Eddie does really well, man. He's another guy that's like extremely smart with his money. Like he does really well, man. He's very smart. I talked to him a lot. And I don't know if you watched this fight last night. It kind of got hosed, but
bullshit.
Yeah. But so I asked him, I said, bro, like, why are you still fighting, man? Like I just don't get it. You do well, you know what I mean? Like, why still do it? You know? And man, he told me what he makes, and I was like, I'd fight till I was fucking 70, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's tough to walk away if you're making some real, you know,
but he's
real like I don't.
You know what I'm saying, dude? He was whipping.
You're right. He's not over the hill. Yeah, you're right.
He's not out there getting fucked up and knocked out 10 times in a row.
You're right.
You know,
You're right. You are right.
You know, if he still has a passion for it, like, yeah, hell yeah, keep doing it. But
yeah,
man, there comes to a point where, you know, like Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz, that third fight, man, that shit's embarrassing. And I don't ever want to be rough. I don't ever want to be put in that position. And you know, I don't think, you know, that I ever will be because of, you know, I let, you know, Yasmin drive the car, you know.
Hey man, that's you're a smart dude though. You know what I mean? Sometimes it takes a smart person to understand to link themselves with other people that know what, you know, that know what they're doing. And dude, like you're for everybody listening, like don't listen to Eric's bullshit. Like it, you know what I mean? Like you're a smart dude, bro. Like you're really smart, and you're a lot smarter than what you lead on to say. You know, it's pretty cool. What's that?
They call it country dumb.
Yeah, you can keep telling everybody else that, but I'm on to you.
All right. Hey man, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for taking time out of your day. You know, your full day there at the in solitude over there in the hotel. Yeah. And it's been a pleasure. I think this will be really eye-opening, especially the last half of this conversation. I hope people listen to your financial advice and, you know, whatever. If they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. But man, I think it's awesome that, man, you're kind of at the, I don't know what to call it, but like you're doing the coaching thing, you're an athlete yourself, and you're financially responsible. I don't think that's very common, and especially in athletes, because especially athletes that fight, man, we're all kind of special kind of dumbasses anyways to even want to do this in the first place. But to making yourself, making sure you and your family are financially set after the lights go off sort of thing. Dude, a lot of people need to hear that.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate that a ton. And same goes to you, man. You I don't even think I've never even heard you talk about what you do outside of it, and I won't put it out there, but man, you got your shit together. It's pretty cool. You surprised me even. Like, I was like, fuck, you got what? Like, it's pretty cool, man. It's refreshing. It's refreshing to hear other athletes that even think about it. You know what I mean? That it's even there, because it's a subject to me that I hold very, very close to my heart. And it breaks my heart to see some of these guys continue to fight when they shouldn't be, and have nothing left to show for at the end of all this, after all the, the blood, sweat, tears, brain injury, like all this stuff. Like, man, like this is a very big price to pay. And it breaks my heart to see guys that don't have anything to show for it at the end of it. So, it's cool to see. It's very refreshing to see guys like you that have your shit together, and you're doing really well, man.
Yeah, appreciate it, brother. Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy Eric Anders. Appreciate you guys for coming and kicking it with your boy.